consistency wins championships. Obviously, wins help, but you know, there's a lot of guys that are going to be able to win this year. So, just got to stay at the front.
Yeah, man, it was a fun race. Being there all day, you know, racing with Walker. Me and him came together here last lap with some lappers, and he flopped over, but had to wait for him because there was nowhere to go. But it was a good day, and we'll build off it. You know, Florida's going to be tough. You know, the guys have their setups dialed down there, and, you know, I'm just going to come in there cold turkey and see what happens, you know. Just get through it, though, you know. Smooth finish, you know, points, and getting Georgia will be a different story. Yeah. Let's do it like Dale. Come here, Dale. Right here.
Every day we do it for Dale.
Round two, in a stark contrast to the brisk temperatures of February in South Carolina, the Sunshine State brings us just that, and a whole lot of it. Sunshine in the Wild Boar GNCC. In what has become an early season classic, Florida can either be rags, like it was for Bryson Neal last year as he missed on a podium appearance, or riches, like it's been for Walker Fowler and his unbeaten record and 7-year win streak in the Deep South. Hunter Hart and Cole Richardson rounded out the podium a year ago, but this early in the season, everyone thinks they can win. There's so much speed at the top of this XC1 Pro ATV class that your guess is as good as mine. All that's left to do? Wave the flag. Catch all the action from Palatka, Florida, next, live on Racer TV.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to round number 2 of America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship. It is the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC, and as we said, our second round of America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship, the 2022 GNCC Series, presented by Specialized and AMA National Championship. I'm Rodney Tomlin, along with Mikey Waynes, and together today we come to you from Palatka, Florida, at the Hogwaller, better known as the Wild Boar GNCC, a mainstay as of recent years in the GNCC Racing Nation, and a great way for us to kick off our second round as well. Kind of the leading edge of Bike Week 2022 again.
Yeah, hey, it's all rolled into one this week. We're starting things off here at the GNCC, which is awesome. With the ATVs, Rodney, we're coming off an incredible round number 1. Bryson Neal coming out and making a statement. I thought, hey, he's got to get acclimated, right? He'll be doing well if he gets a podium. He goes out there and gets the win.
He gets the win, and I think maybe to the surprise of himself, as talking with him pre-race, he had no intentions of pulling something like that off. He just wanted to go out and try to get a podium podium, see where everyone's speed was. And, man, I think we found out where his speed was, that's for sure, because he definitely laid down the law out there. He comes in with the points lead here in the second round. And to be off the bike almost a year, it's been 8-9 months basically since the last time we saw him racing in a GNCC. Remember, he got hurt at the John Penn GNCC, and that was well before the summer break. So he's had a lot of healing time. He's had a lot of time to think about things. And he gave the boys a lot to think about after that win last week, because I know that Walker Fowler's got a lot of things going on in his mind right now, wondering what he's going to have to do to fire back here in Florida to take that win away from him and slow that momentum down before Bryson gets on a roll.
Yeah, that nails it, Rodney. We talked about this earlier today off air. We said there's one thing Walker Fowler hates, it's losing. The only thing he hates more, losing 2 in a row. So look for Walker Fowler to do some big things today. And for a lot of these guys, we're not, we just arrived in Florida. We're back to Florida for these guys. They train here in the off-season. Hunter Hart with that very forgettable round number 1. Look for him to come out swinging today as well.
No doubt. He's got a lot to make up for himself, and I know that he knows he can do better than that. And unfortunately, the mechanical issues that he suffered took him back a little bit. Another rider we'll be watching out for, obviously, Devin Feehan. You can't count out Cole Richardson. Richardson is a fast gun in the sands as well. Adam McGill, he can always surprise you in any conditions. There's no doubt about that. And, of course, Jared McClure, who is featured on the event T-shirt here this weekend and is, as always, a huge and monumental threat. Now, he came away with a 5th-place position finish here last year, but that doesn't mean that he won't be in the running for a win here today.
It was interesting. Jared McClure, who finished 3rd 2 weeks ago at Big Buck, said, see, guys, you don't have to train in the offseason down in Florida. You can still do well. We're down in Florida now, so now we're going to find out if that's true or not, or if training in the sand does help these guys out. But if one guy can sneak in there, sneaky snake, Jared McClure could get it done.
No doubt about it. A couple of young guns. Ronnie Rush racing his first XC1 Pro Class. Well, I think he raced last year at the end of the year, but his first race, I guess you could say, as far as the season is concerned. That was your XC2 Pro-Am champion, and there was a lot of questions as to which class he was going to run. He made the announcement at the banquet last year. He ran the XC1 Pro class just like he said he was going to, but that left the door open for big things to be happening out there in the XC2 Pro-Am class. Wyatt Wilkin and I think Brandon Owen and, of course, Jay Shadron. Moving up from the Junior A class with a top number of all things, believe it or not. He took a 5th-place finish, if I'm not mistaken, overall at the last round. So that was pretty impressive for round number 2. Don't be surprised if we don't see some of these guys playing around a little bit with possible podium position finishes from that Pro-Am class. I think that level is raising to about that point right now.
Yeah, another big name in the XC2 I think look out for this weekend. Guy who got the whole shot a couple weeks ago, Tanner Walker.
Yes, definitely.
Did not finish that race the way he wanted. I think he's going to come out swinging today as well.
A lot of folks got their gloves on ready for round number 2, Mikey, and before they can get out there and make things happen, Jared Bolton and the crew had to get out there and make a few things happen as well.
We're back to Florida, and this is actually the longest running Florida event we've ever had in GNCC history. And that comes with good reason. Everybody loves this course. Now, I know what you're thinking. He's going to say it's got a little something for everyone. This course is a little bit on the faster side, so if you like faster stuff, it's definitely going to cater to you. But there are some areas that tighten up here. But of course, when you come racing in Florida, you know what that means. It's sand, and that means there's endless sand loops. It gets rougher as the weekend goes on. This place gets brutally tough, rough. It does keep the speeds down in places, but the guys that are good at riding the whoops, they can get up on top of those, skim right across the top of them, it's no problem. However, this year there's a new obstacle. And no, it's not an actual obstacle out on the trail, it's the dust. Never before has this property been this dry. Even the mud holes that we see every year, they're actually the driest they've ever been. It's gonna add another element. Guys that get out front early are going to have a little bit of an advantage. You could see the leader pull out a minute lead on the first lap, especially if they're good, riding through those whoops and all that kind of stuff. That's this weekend's track description. Back to you guys.
All righty, thanks a lot, Jared. And Mikey, I don't know if you noticed it, but it seems to be a lot of sand out there.
That's an understatement, Rodney. Hey, some new things for the track this year, new starting line. This is going to be an interesting one. Hey, you've heard our take. You've heard what the track's going to be like. We want to see what the riders are going to do, so we're going to take a short break, get a word from our sponsors, and when we come back, Rodney Tomlin with those iconic 10-second calls.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized Turbo E-Bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
Rockets, red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Well, there you have it, folks. The stage is nearly set now as we are almost ready to embark upon round number 2 of this 2022 Grand National Cross Country Championship. But before that, let's meet our starting lineup. Rolling to the line first today in accordance to points after our first round of racing from 2 weeks ago at the Big Buck GNCC. After being away for nearly 8 months off the ATV, making his return back to GNCC and taking the season opening win, riding aboard the number 241. Rolling to the line first on the Magna One Motorsports Yamaha from Bidwell, Ohio, Bryson Neal. Rolling to the line second today, he is a 7-time GNCC champion. He is a 7-time winner right here in Palatka at the Wild Boar GNCC. He goes for number 8 today from Rogers, Ohio on the WFR GBC Fly Racing Factory Yamaha, Walker Fowler. Rolling to the line third today, aboard the number 3 from Casca, Pennsylvania on the JMR GBC Elka Moose Racing Honda, Jared the Sneaky Snake McClure. finishing fourth in round number 1, riding aboard the number 7 from Windsor, New York on a GBC Fly Racing 9.2 BNR Yamaha, Devin Feehan. Riding aboard the number 712, he finished 5th just 2 weeks ago from Waxhaw, New Jersey on a Pierce Performance GBC Fly Racing Yamaha, Junior Glada. Rolling to the line next, he was 6th after round 1 aboard the 733 from Edinburgh, Pennsylvania on a Getter Nissan Kenda Action Off-Road Richardson Racing Yamaha, the Coal Train, Cole Richardson. He's riding home in the sand. We call him the Gator. He rides aboard the 521 from Waverly, West Virginia on an Over Tires Moose Racing Parts Unlimited Honda, Adam McGill. Rolling to the line, 8th today, aboard the number 9 from Sunbury, Pennsylvania. A 6-time GNCC champion, 75-time overall winner on a CBR GBC Action Off-Road backed Yamaha, Chris Borich. 9th after the first round, riding aboard the number 6 machine from Akron, Ohio on American Racing BNR Motorsports backed Yamaha, Josh Merritt. And he finished 10th in round number 1, riding aboard the number 703 from Petersburg, Indiana on the Abner Racing Action Off-Road Maxxis backed Yamaha, Austin Abney. Last year's XC2 Pro-Am champion aboard the number 714 from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on a B&R Motorsports Cinch Graphics Bulletproof Doors backed Yamaha, Ronnie Rush. The number 2 from Newfield, New York on the original Formula 88 Ithaca Recreation Power Sports Maxxis Racing Yamaha, Hunter Hard. And last and certainly not least, celebrating his 28th season as an XC1 Pro, the number 15 from Aurora, Ohio on the GBC Fly Racing Factory Yamaha, Johnny G. Johnny Gallagher. And that, my friends, your starting lineup for this, the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. And as the stage is all but set now, my friends, we turn our attention to the front of this starting line where our DJ Judd readies the removal as he climbs aboard his trusty R-Max Yamaha 1000 and gets set to clear the finish line. And we ask our good friend DJ Judd, if you would, remove the meat. The Monster Energy Activation Transport making its way off the starting line. We call it the meat, my friends, and of course, it's the epicenter of all the fun and all the action, no doubt about it, as he finds his way off this starting line. The stage is finally set now for this second round to get underway. And of course, as we look down onto the starting line, we see those riders now beginning to peer forward into that first turn region where Ricky Towery readies these riders and lets them know 1 minute before the start of this second round of the 2022 season. And of course, all the excitement begins to build here. And Ricky Towery in complete command and control of this starting line and this racetrack from this point forward. The next sign will be the blue flag waving the 30 seconds. It will be a dead engine call as well. Shut them down, guys. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. That blue flag waves, and we are now less than 30 seconds away from going GNCC racing. And I got to ask you, Florida race fans, are you ready to kick it off? Bike Week 2022. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? Oh, I didn't even hear you guys. I'm serious. Are you even out there? I'm going to ask you one more time, Florida. Are you ready to go
GNCC Racing! 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro will be off and rolling at the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. Around that first turn, they slice, they dice. It's Walker Fowler going for the win, number 8, but Jared McClure stealing away the early lead as they head for turn 3 to the XC2 Pro-Am. Jay Shadron, Albert Jadis, Shane McMillan, Grayson Ella, Brandon Owens, Nicholas Royalty, Trey Seifert, Daniel Peters, Chase Allison, Wyatt Wilkin, Dylan Walraven, Steve Harrell, and Tanner Walker in 10 seconds. Oh, it's a jockey for position. Wyatt Wilkin, the 621. Can he hang on to it as they cross the stripe? He does. And the 621 from Hillsboro, Ohio on the Dirt Nasty. JM Motorsports, GBC Focus X backed ride. Senior 840 plus coming up next with Zachary Phillips, Angel Barrios, Doug Morse, Jeremy Gouchard, Dominic Minichi, also Terry Fiddler, Chris Conklin, Brian Shaw, and Corbin Knox. All set and ready to roll in 10 seconds. All around that first turn, and it's going to be the 438, I believe, of Angel Barrios from Orlando, Florida. He's riding on a Cycle Works Graphics Blood Lubricants B&R Motorsport backed ride. As we go to our next row, the College A 16 to 21 in 10 seconds. Keaton Henderson, Alex Tiemann, also Damon Grindsop, Cody Forrester, Ian Burns, Dalton Keys, Riley Salick, Nathan Dearborn, Ethan Meyer, Jamin Anderson, Tyler Coulter, Carson Collins, Thomas Mitchell, Jan Garcia, also Dominic Stevens, Nate Harvey, Kai Arbogast, Lane McCormick, and the early leader, Dalton Keys out of Holton, Indiana, grabbing that early lead. We also got Parker Henderson, Corey Vanderleiter, Damian Hawkins, James Glada, and Mason Howard. And a tango up in turn 1, and carnage halfway down the start. These boys are running and gunning today, folks, as we go to the Junior A 22 plus class. Coming up next, we got Jeremy Ladon, Brady Myers, Bryson Mahalan, Henry Moore, Wesley Wirtz, Dason Como, Alex Elioff. Our riders up and rolling now. Kate Vanderpool, Andrew Hicks, and Toby Hughes, Ryan Thompson, Todd Fiddler, Seth Wilson, Joseph Ponte, Travis Blanish, Devin Masters, and Caden Ryan ready to roll in 10 seconds. Whoa, man. He was looking from left, he was looking from right. He doesn't steal more. I believe that may have been that 54 or 64 Henry Moore from Oakland, Maryland, the Moore Painting 9-2 Rathback ride. That A30 plus class coming up next. 10 seconds. Big Papa P, Jeff Pickens, Brad Whitehead, A.J. Koontz, Luke Reeves, Jonathan Fugate, Matthew Silsby, T.J. Barrett, Zach Wright, Nick Muno, and Cody Holcomb. Whoa, man, those guys dived in hard in that first turn. It's the 22, though. A Big Papa P, Jeff Pickens from Shamoka, Pennsylvania, GBC Motorsports, Waynesburg, Yamaha, and Fly Racing back ride, grabbing that early lead as we go next to the Senior B class. 40 plus in 10 seconds. Tim White, Rick Marino, Scott Wilhelm, Shane Worth, Steve Barber, Chad Judy, Ivo Pahalik, Jason Fisher, Bobby McCauley, Jason Disco, Forrest Cross, Mike Reiser, Robert Bennett, and Richie McCauley rounding the first turn now. 458. That is Jason Disco from Vienna, Ohio on the J&J Performance back ride to the College B class. 18 riders across that road. Coming up next, Michael Worth, Denton White, Andre Williams, Connor Brandt, Colby Clark. 10 Briggs Lazelle, Gavin Temple, Evan Osborne, Adam Sappel, Owen Burns, Jonathan Gregory, Chase Rogers, Ashton Bowling, Jeremy Koger, Michael Yodanis, Richard Williams, Easton Snyder, and Kane Skinner. Rounds that first turn. Mercy swapping back and forth, but he holds on to it. It's the 103. Denton White out of Manchester, Ohio. A White on the Dutch Show Cattle, White Excavating Cycle Works backed Honda. The Junior B 22 plus class in 10 seconds. William Wallace, James Swilly, Dylan Stein, Justin Cotter, Tyler Baldwin, Devin Tracy, Sean Newhouse, Austin Greenwell, Austin Bruni, Colin Dunn, and Nicholas Blaney. Oh, they're hard on the binders. Into that first turn, and as they sweep out of it. Oh, who's it going to be? 275. I'm not sure who got the whole shot, but that 275 or 235. William Wallace, I believe, grabbing that early lead now as we go down to Ricky Towery. He says 10 seconds for the Vet B30 plus class. David Kite, Taylor Lazelle, Ryan Simmons, Michael Rodriguez, Michael Martin Ruse, Abulo Roque, Steve Schaefer, Dusty Gatos, Sean Slattery, Derek Hart, and Stephen Moore. And that, my friends, going to be the wrap up to the start of this one. The Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC got a 2-hour trek for these riders to try to get it all sorted out in. Can Walker Fowler make it 8 in a row? Will Jared McClure be a spoiler? Will someone else rise to the top? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues on RacerTV.com after this.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Want to welcome you guys here to round number 2 of the 2022 GNCC Racing Series presented by Specialized and AMA National Championship. We're here in Palatka, Florida for the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. I'm Mikey Waynes. You've already heard from my colleague Rodney Tomlin down there on the starting line with those iconic 10-second calls. Right now, you're looking at the FMF PowerPoint here in Palatka. It's sandy. What else can we say? It's Florida, right? It's sandy. It's pretty hot out today. And if you have paid attention to the weather down here, we haven't really gotten a lot of rain. So a little dusty. Where we're able to get water on the track, we can get water. But, boy, expect a lot of what you're seeing right now, that dust. And to get us started, we are going to take a look at the Specialized start recap for your XC1 and your XC2. So starting off here with the XC1 off and rolling, jockeying for position. It was a good tight battle between Walker Fowler and Jared McClure. And I believe Walker Fowler just edging out Jared McClure for the whole shot, but forget it. It was the number 3 of Jared McClure grabbing that early lead. And last reports we got, still the sneaky snake out in front, who, by the way, did not train down here in Florida. Is he playing with house money? We'll find out. So a good start for Jared McClure. We'll see if he can hang on to that lead. Going to be an interesting one today, to say the least. Taking a look now at the XC2 Pro-Am class. And jockeying for position out of that XC2. A guy who, hey, expect some big things out of this year. Not necessarily the best round at the big buck for him, but Wyatt Wilkin with a great start in this one. Going out there, grabbing the whole shot in the XC2 class. And the early lead in this one. Is it going to be one of those days where Wyatt Wilkin brings the Corgi with him up on the box? He said, I only bring the puppy on the box if I get first place. If I get second, if I get third, the puppy doesn't come up with me. So are we going to see Wyatt Wilkin's puppy on the box later? If we do, that means he wins. So, hey, you guys want to get an idea of what our riders are facing here today? If you're just tuning in, we're going to take a look at our Yamaha Racing track map to give you an idea of the terrain they face here in Florida. Bang, there it is. So, taking a look at the Yamaha Racing track map, about a 12-mile course for you guys today. Of course, featured parts of the track, the FMF PowerPoint, the Monster Mile. We've also got the Method Race Wheels, Method Alley included in there as well. But Florida, without a doubt, different compared to what we face the rest of the season. Expect a lot of sands. You hear the riders talk about palmettos. The other big things we heard from riders this morning, ranking from the micros, the youth, the AM race with the 4x4 pros and the WXC. It's tight. It's very tight. Not a lot of areas, not a lot of big open areas, I should say, to create for no passes easy, but easier passing. So they talked about how important it was to get a good start out here. If your name is Jared McClure, you're like, amen, you're preaching the gospel. A good start is what I needed. A good start is what I got. So should see the riders coming through here in a little bit. Those guys will likely jump out of the way because, well, they're on the track where these guys are going to be rolling through. So just kidding, not a replay. I was ready. Didn't cue me up. But, hey, again, looking at the FMF PowerPoint. And last reports we got, again, Jared McClure still out in front in this one. Walker Fowler sitting in the number 2 spot. Interesting coming into this one, of course, Bryson Neal with the big win at Big Buck. Heading into that race, myself, even Bryson himself said, hey, if I can go into Big Buck, if I can get myself a podium, I'm going to consider that a win for me because, I don't have the seat time, the training time, all of that. The man goes out there and gets a win. So incredible ride for Bryson Neal coming into this one. Obviously carries the points lead into this. Walker Fowler finishing in the number 2 spot, and Jared McClure finishing in 3rd coming into today. So leader on screen. And the rest of the XC1 there. So Jared McClure still out in front in this one. Looked like we still had Walker Fowler there in the number 2 spot. But anyways, going back to that, Walker Fowler obviously trains down here in Florida. Hunter Hart trains down here in Florida. Adam McGill trains down here in Florida. So for the guys that get all the seat time, Josh Merritt, that get all the seat time down here in the sand, is that going to play an advantage for him today? Or is it going to be a situation where you're like Jared McClure, who he was pretty bold in his statement after the race. He said, see, I didn't train in Florida. I came out here. I got a podium. Honestly, with the lead Jared McClure's right now, it's almost as if McClure, if I'm him, I'm thinking, hey, I'm out here playing with house money. You guys train down here. You know this sand better than I do, or you should, but I'm the man leading it. How long can I hang on to it? Is going to be interesting. Like I said, everybody seemed to talk about how tight this racetrack was. Didn't lend itself to a lot of open passing. So guys are going to have to be strategic. Pit strategy obviously going to come into play a little bit in that as well. And then, of course, as the race wears on, we get into that second hour, they start getting into some of that lap traffic. Got to expect that to play a factor. There's a good example at the bottom of your screen of guys trying to get outside of the rut, look for an opportunity to pass. But as you can see on Racer TV right now, I mean, it's pretty much, hey, single file. The one big pass we heard about this morning out of that 4x4 Pro class was Hayden Mickelson, and he said it was on the edge, and he did not know if he was going to make it around Burke Marsiglia. Ended up making it, got 3rd in the overall, but he said it made him a little nervous, really happened to risk it to pick that position up. So the riders that are going to make passes today are going to be the ones that are ready to make an aggressive move here in Florida. So who wants to risk it for the biscuit? Risk it for brisket. So I believe that was, we believe we still have Jared McClure out in front and Walker Fowler in the number 2 spot. Rodney Tomlin joining us in the booth. And Rodney,
talking about biscuits and briskets, man, I'm right here.
What the heck happened? Jared McClure, he didn't train down here, Rodney. Why is he out front?
I don't know. Why did Bryson Neal win whenever he wasn't even going to try to?
Welcome to 2022.
That's just the beauty of what we've got going on in here. The wind picked up just a little bit just prior to the start as Jared McClure picks up at the 8-mile marker with Walker Fowler hot on that rear grab bar. Look at the dust it's starting to kick up there. Now that's going to separate some things, and actually there is was it 40 something I think, but I'm not sure who that was on that one today. But anyway, our 3rd place going through, and there comes Hunter. No, that's not Hunter Hart, was it?
I think
okay,
that was Hunter, yeah.
Okay, that was the number 6. These guys, these new numbers have still got me all discombobulated here, believe it or not, and trying to get it all sorted out.
6, I believe, is Merritt.
Josh Merritt, yeah. And he's riding, looked like a yellow machine today as well. But I completely lost my train of thought there, Mikey.
Well, hey, and Hunter Hart running blue graphics today. I asked him about that, and he said, yeah, they're blue this week. They might be white next week. They might be yellow. I'm like, hey, stop doing this.
How can we keep up with these guys when they keep changing it up as we check in with the Yamaha Life? Speaking of Yamahas, did you see the RMAX 1000 that Judd is dragging the meat around with, that Monster Energy Activation Transport? Man, that thing is nice. It's got a big Yamaha generator in the back of it. Powerhouse, man.
It is.
Man, check him out dancing through the trees out here. Talking with DJ Judd, who's man, a lot of this track is pretty cool, but there's some areas that are even tight, not only for the ATV, but even for some of the bikes. And he said where it's tight at, it's no fun, but everywhere else, it is just a great riding opportunity as we circle our way around the 1,000-acre woods here at this Hogwaller Mud Bog facility. It is the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC second round of our championship. And, man, I tell you couldn't ask for a better stage setter right here as we've got McClure out front. I mean, he is full on Cobra mode today.
Yeah.
You know, we oftentimes, and he's been playing Sneaky Snake a lot lately, but today he struck first and he struck hard. As you said, I couldn't even tell who got the hole shot. It was that tight. Walker Fowler and McClure were right there. And Walker crossed the stripe first, but Jared had the line coming out of that
different line
choices
choices right there, Rodney. But, hey, McClure's still out in front. Did not pay off for Walker right there.
Well, you got to risk. You got to gamble sometimes. And when you got a little bit of comfort zone back to that third-place position, you're running that tight, yeah, you can afford a half-second loss or maybe a 2-second gain if things work in your favor.
Interesting point. I forgot to bring this up when we were looking at the track map for the folks at home that maybe haven't heard or seen on social media. New start line this year.
Yep.
I didn't know when I rolled in. I go to where we normally set up for TV. I'm like, where's the trailer? Okay, maybe they're over closer to the start. Okay, where's the start? I know it's a cow pasture normally, but it's a cow pasture today. And I look to my right. They cleared out a lot of trees here. There's a lot more place for camping. And obviously an awesome new starting line for everybody, too. And so far, everyone I've talked to has loved it. I love the new setup.
You know, I really like the new design a lot better. The start did seem a little segregated from the rest of the facility, so bringing it over here, and, I mean, it's right off of Bender's Row, right behind that. I mean, only a couple hundred yards from the finish line itself. So, yes, wonderful layout. Our hats off, and kudos to the track crew in designing a great race course and taking advantage of this opportunity to tighten things up here in this facility, because we know we need it, we deserve it, and with the amount of people that are showing up, man, I mean, this place is already about full to the hilt once again. So battling continues for this lead. I don't even know how far back third place is now. I'm going to venture to say probably
here we go.
Here we go. Look at
Track
Walker
strip.
Fowler. He is trying to use that horsepower in his advantage, but I tell you, Jared McClure building a lot of his own equipment, working on a lot of his own equipment. He's got a powerhouse of his own, at least for the moment.
Hey, my hat is off both of them, but Walker Fowler right now, he don't care about eating dust. It does not matter, but boy, that has got to wear on you. And if you've never been down here in Florida, I mean, that's not just it's sand. It's not just sand. Don't think St. Petersburg, white sandy beaches. This is like a black, nasty sand that you can shower 5 times when you leave this place. You're still going to have some sand in the towel.
Well, just a week ago, believe it or not, in between rounds, Jared McClure spent some time snowmobiling, Mikey Waynes. Hey, you know, that's training.
Maybe the snow is similar to the sand.
It very well may be. Our producer, Adam Gordon, says it definitely is. He got some good training in it, it sounds like. Yeah, it is very interesting. And, you know, hey, you know, that's a great viable option for these guys to continue racing in the wintertime. And racing some demanding sports in snowmobile racing and things of that nature. Out near the 10-mile marker now, we will see a mile marker number 12, Mikey. But in talking with course designers Ryan Eccles and Jared Bolton, they tell me that the course is actually for the ATV somewhere in the neighborhood of just under 10.5 miles or so. So there'll be about a mile and a half for the motorcycles coming up tomorrow, and that's some of that tighter woods, even tighter than what some of these guys are rolling through. And the diversity of the conditions here, and hearing them talk about the sweep lap after that race there between DJ Judd and Jared and Ryan, is, you know, you've got some areas that are dusty. We saw that dust out there, and then there's areas that it's just perfect conditions out there. And it's amazing. There's some areas that are really whoopy and rough, and other areas that are a little more hard-packed and don't seem to be taking on that same aspect as what much of the other track is.
Austin Abney just passing on screen right there. The 703 just raced the IXCR at the Badlands in Indiana, which is very sandy. I know it sounds weird talking about Indiana.
There last weekend, though?
There was still some snow on the ground, but it warmed up to a nice 25 degrees. But it was sunny, and the ice melted. Austin Abney actually riding out there in that sand blew out, how do I put this in a PG-13 way, the butt of his pants to where he had what looked like frostbite and burns on the back of his rear end.
He probably
and
did.
He's still nursing it today. He's
Yeah.
like, Mikey, my butt is, he didn't say those exact words, but basically I'm in a lot of pain coming in here today, so something, just an added element for the 703 today.
No doubt. Is this our leader? Is that Jay Shadron in the XC2 Pro-Am checking through the trees now? So he's working his way up. Not far off the tail end pack of the XC1 guys, but we got a host of XC2 guys. Looks like about the top 5, not far apart as they make their way past this 10-mile marker now, Mikey.
Those XC2 riders hungry this year. A lot of new names moving up into that, and a lot of guys staying back that want to prove that they're the guy. Wyatt Wilkin, great start. He snagged the whole shot. There they are. Down pro row,
we have
and we got to pass. New leader.
New leader. And,
and
look
Hunter
at that.
Hart
Right there on the rear of those guys. They have closed up the gap. Something happened out there that's made that happen. Both riders losing a little bit of time to allow Hart to close that gap up on him now. And Hart now on the blue Yamaha today is moved up into that number 3 position on the number 2. And, of course, there's Josh Merritt.
This is where I thought we would see Josh Merritt a couple weeks ago, Rodney, right up there. I mean, not too far off. I believe that was Bryson Neal in front of him. So we'll see if Merritt's able, which Merritt's another guy that trains down here with those guys.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he can catch up with Bryson Neal. I got to say, Bryson Neal, where he's at right now, is also where I thought I'd see him last week. And he said, no, I'm going to go get the win. But, hey, keep your eyes on
Well, I did
Neal.
talk to him. He said he was just going to go out and putt around the game.
So maybe that translates to a podium. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, it's still early in this race. We're nearing the completion now of the first lap, and we should be wrapping things up. We're about 26 minutes into this race already, according to the way I've got it calculated right now. So it's kind of interesting, and will be, I think, to see where it goes from here. Will Walker Fowler, you know, it's funny. I went up and I talked to Walker and was like, you know, hey, I am right. We are right about the 7-time wins here, and today would be 8. You won every one, right? And it's like, yeah. And Walker, I don't want to say he looked a little displaced, but he did look a little displaced. Like, how dare you?
Don't bring that up.
And not in a bad way. It was almost as if I stepped on, you know, I did something wrong, you know, like I wasn't supposed to say that word or something. But, you know, he is kind of literally one of the most, probably the most superstitious rider.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, his dad's got to wear the same underwear, the same hat. He's got to have the same sock, whatever. I mean, he's got a bunch of little rituals that he has, and if it don't happen that day, oftentimes he'll blame that for the reason that he had his misfortunes for whatever reason.
Hey, he's not alone. There's a lot of those guys out there where they got some wild superstitions coming into race day. Hunter Hart, one of those guys, for sure on that. Walker Fowler, 68 wins? Yeah, 68 wins coming into today. So win number 69 looming. And not just that, this season, Rodney, he very well could pass Chris Borich this year. Going to be tough for him, though.
It is going to be tough, but when he rides like he's riding here today, and if he can continue to maintain this lead, I mean, again, you know, that proves the point that we know that is Walker Fowler is not necessarily unstoppable, but he is tough. Look at this. We've got Hunter Hart now up to second. Jeremy McClure in the number 3 spot as they checked in here at the finish line.
Coltrane in 4th.
Yep. Bryson Neal now into the number 5 spot on that 241. That's going to be hard to get used to. We kind of got used to him not being around, and now that he's back, he's on a 241, so he's going to get missed a lot or confuse me a lot, I guess that I should say. Lap times, if you're wondering, 27 minutes, 49 seconds for Fowler. There was about 5.7 seconds that separated them. That means that Hunter Hart turned to 27.55, McClure at 27.57, and a couple more seconds back was Richardson with 3 more seconds back, Bryson Neal. If you do the math, it's about 10, 11, maybe 12 seconds that separate the top 5, 1st to 5th right now. That's tight, dude.
It's pretty tight, yeah, pretty tight early in this. And now Walker Fowler with him out front, see what he can do with a lot of open track in front of him. Going to be interesting to see what he can do with that. And then Hunter Hart. To me, Rodney, I think coming into it, if you just look at it of, hey, who trained where in the offseason, I think the 2 guys we expected to see out front in Florida are out front in Florida right now, and that's Walker and in 2nd place, Hunter Hart.
Well, Walker Fowler is on track to make it number 8. Can he make it happen? 8 straight wins, and the only winner to do that here in GNCC Racing. If he can make it happen, stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency and my recovery.
Seven-time GNCC champion Walker Fowler, and I run GBC.
Like a bullet into the first turn, the number 1 with the pink helmet and pink bars. It is Walker Fowler, the 17th.
Pump. You should be proud of yourself, Devin Feehan. What a ride today.
I'm Devin Feehan, and I run GBC.
I'm Josh Merritt, and I run GBC.
I'm Chris Borich, and I run GBC.
All the riders are pretty much from up north. I think John Galata is from North Carolina, but other than that, it's a lot of the northern states. So the sand typically is new to most people. A couple guys, I know Hunter Hart, Devin Feehan, Adam McGill, myself, and Chris Borich, Johnny Gallagher, which is now half the class that I just named, but we do come down here and do some training. I have short legs, so technically the sand should be a disadvantage for me, but my bike setup is really good, so I do enjoy the brutalness that is Florida, and I think that's one of the things. It proves who's in shape and who's not, and man, who can just shut their brain off for 2 hours and go be miserable. Yeah, so it hasn't rained down here for, it seems like months. I know we maybe had a little bit of a shower up here a week ago or so, but I know down south where I've been, it's 6 weeks with no rain. So it's been brutal, dusty. Air filters could be a problem, which the sand is tougher anyway, but when you get all the organic matter that's good and dry in the sand, it's definitely going to create some dust problems. So goggles are going to be tough. A good start's going to be key, which I'm usually really good at. So yeah, just pit strategy could be huge. We could see those air filter changes like we did a couple years ago.
Well, Walker Fowler on the verge of another history-making moment in his career today. I mean, credit going to where it belongs. Jared Bolton actually figuring this out. He got thinking about it. He's like, how many of these races has won? So they went back, and he's won 7. We've been here 7. This is our 8th time here at the Wild Boar GNCC, and he actually, man, I can't believe it, won the first 7 times here, 8, and that's the most wins. The only other rider to ever do anything like that was at the Tomahawk, and it was by Walker Fowler, and he did it five races in a row there. Yeah, Tomahawk GNCC in New York. So he's going for number 8 here. And I think Scott Summers back in the day at some of the venues where they had like 3 races, he might win some of those 3. But, I mean, really, technically, when you look at the 8, I mean, 7, 5 in a row is enough.
That's incredible.
But now at 7 here in Florida, that's just remarkable.
Also hard to believe Chris Borch doesn't have like a title like that at some venue we've been going to.
Yeah, I know. All he has, well, I'm sure, you know.
We'd have to look. He's got to have some good numbers somewhere.
Yeah, I know John Penton, he had some good numbers years ago anyway. But, you know, with 75 wins, accumulating that many wins over the course of time, you know there has to be some kind of interesting streak that no one has picked up on just yet.
No doubt.
But, man, like you know, you keep alluding to the fact and keep reminding us, and I keep thinking of the possibility as well as, you know, that 75 wins that Chris Borch has, we could see that become second in the all-time wins record.
Which is insane.
That is, and that could happen this season, especially if Walker Fowler can get on this roll today and continue rolling through this 2022 season as we pick the action up out here at the Monster Mile now, and Fowler seems to have dropped the rest of the field, at least visually here on camera right now as we wait and we look and peer, and it is a ways back to second place. That is a big gap, and those are the kind of gaps that are easy for Walker to manage and for folks to try and make up, as it is still the number 2 of Hunter Hart back in that number 2 position. Third place position is, I believe, still Jared McClure there. And is that Neal now up to the number 4 position on the 241? Or was that Richardson? That might have been Richardson. See, he changed his plastics up, so I think that may have been Richardson. A little bit of a gap now back to the 5th place ride, which may still be the Magnum One Motorsports ride of Bryson Neal. I don't think that is.
No, that's not Bryson.
No, so I don't know what happened to be Neal.
I could be wrong, but I almost think that might have been Bryson Neal up in the number 3 position. I think it was Bryson in that number 3 position in that white jersey. But he's got white numbers on the jersey too. They're just outlined.
We'll find out.
But okay, Bryson Neal in 3rd.
It is Bryson. So I wonder what happened now. Did I miss McClure as well through there?
That might have been McClure back in 4th and then Richardson 5th.
Okay. It's a monster of a race day here today out here at the Monster Mile. A lot of changes I expect to see throughout the course of this one. I think back there, at least in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th place positions. Right now, you almost have to think that Walker's on that wave. I mean, we are in Florida, and this is kind of his home spot. And he did take kind of a gut punch at Big Buck a couple of weeks ago. I think that was a shock and a surprise to him as much as it may have been to Bryson and other people out there that were wondering where Bryson stood as far as, you know, his speed and bike fitness and things of that nature.
You know, it's interesting, Rodney, is over the last several years of Walker winning his championships, he's been able, you know, we've had the season like in 2017 where he won all but one. Shout out to Johnny Gallagher, X Factor, by the way. But, you know, as the years have progressed, he seems to have more of a – he wants to win, yes, but his mentality and maturity of Walker Fowler's changed in that, man, if on my bad day I can still get on the podium, I still have a shot at that championship. Is this going to be that year, though? Let's say, knock on wood, don't want to speak too soon, but if Bryson Neal goes out and he wins, Bryson Neal now into the number 2 spot, by the way, but if Bryson comes out here and he goes back-to-back wins to start the year, now Walker, it's no longer, hey, if I get a podium on my bad day, it's good. Now it's, oh, no, I got to start clicking off wins, and I got to make sure I finish in front of Bryson Neal.
Well, you know,
added pressure for him that he's not really had for a few years.
Right. The double-edged sword to that is exactly what you're talking about. 2 consecutive race losses, so to speak, even though he may get 2nd or 3rd or whatever the case may be. To him, a loss is a loss, you know, and that series points lead is, you know, he's 10 points behind now, or 15 or whatever the case may be at this particular point. So, you know, not only does he have the factor of, hey, I'm losing races, but now I'm losing in the championship points race. And that's 2 places that he's not really familiar with. I mean, on occasion, he'll be against the wall, might lose maybe not win a couple of races in a row, but he's got enough of a points lead at that point where it's not that big a deal. Here early in the season, all of a sudden it starts playing heavy mind games on Walker Fowler, I'm sure.
At the same time, for Bryson Neal, you know, how many times have we seen him do very, very well, get wins, but then he comes out and, you know, he's going 100 miles an hour, has a crash, something mechanical, breaks something. So has Bryson matured as well in the fact that, okay, hey, I'm out front. I don't need to win by 2 minutes. I need to make sure this machine crosses the checkered flag first. That's priority one.
You know, one would think, especially with what happened and how he ended up in the predicament where he ended his season early last year, you might begin to think that he's probably had a little bit of time to think about that, and that might be one of the lessons learned in life and in racing. And obviously we won't know the true end of that until we see him, you know, in a high-pressure situation, which could be coming very quickly, especially if he's able to bridge that gap. Now, I talked about that gap. It's tough to bridge that gap between Walker and second place, no matter who it is. But the one rider that might be able to do it, well, there's two that I would put my money on to be able to do it. And you probably know one of them, Devin Feehan being one of them. Secondly, obviously, is Bryson Neal. I mean, that is one rider that, and not taking anything away from Hunter Hart or any of these other riders, but those guys just really seem to have the rocket speed in any condition, in any type of soils, no matter where we are.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Want to give a shout-out to Jay Shadron, sitting there in the number 10 spot on adjusted time out of that XC2 class, leading the way. So he is, the man is ripping right now. Devin Feehan back in the number 9 position. Keep your eyes on him and the Gator. Can they hook up and maybe pick off a few positions? Chris Borch in 7th. Josh Merritt sitting in that number 6 spot on the number 6 machine. And we believe McClure and then Richardson in 4th, and Bryson Neal, or excuse me, Hunter Hart 3rd, Bryson Neal 2nd, and Fowler out in front.
Yeah, Junior Galata, not a bad start for him. He was about 19 seconds out of the top 5. He rode a good solid race there at the opening round. On the 712, Josh Merritt 7th in class, Chris Borch 8th, Adam McGill 9th in class, Devin Feehan kind of buried back there a little bit, 10th in class, I believe, is what it's telling me here. And it says 9th there on the, so does that mean that we've got some other things going on that I'm not aware of out here? But anyway, as we look at this in the XC2 Pro-Am, oh, it's Steve Harrell leading. That's what I didn't catch. According to timing and scoring here, it says Steve Harrell, the 908, is leading the XC2. Jay Shadron running 2nd, almost 22 seconds back.
Wow, so flip-flop that. I apologize.
And that, you know, that might be one of the riders that might have confused us a little bit at one point as well. And I'm not sure where that puts him as far as the overall is concerned. I'll toggle up a couple of positions here just to see for sure. But that should, if that's putting Jay Shadron in 10th, that should put Harrell up there as well. It's actually got him in 11th place overall, Jay Shadron in 12th place overall.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with the what we've got going on there, but my timing and scoring computer is a little bit different than that. I've got Adam McGill in 9th, and I've got Devin Feehan in 10th place, and all of our top 10 overall are XC1 Pro Class riders. According to that, we are about 12 and a half minutes, maybe closer to 12 minutes now away from seeing a second lap complete. What are you thinking when we see these leaders again now at the FMF PowerPoint? Are we expecting to see that Walker Fowler is continuing to manage that gap, maybe open it up, or do you think that maybe Bryson Neal, now that he has moved up into that number 2 spot, will he be able to start reeling in? Will he be able to bridge that gap like I kind of put my money on?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at what Bryson Neal has done in the past, and Bryson will let it all hang out early.
There's Walker Fowler,
so there's Walker Fowler right now. I don't know if I'm Walker Fowler right now, if I know Bryson Neal's in the 2 spot, it would be great to be able to stretch it out. But he knows the kind of speed that Bryson Neal carries.
Well,
if I'm Walker,
10 seconds, maybe 12 seconds now separating first to second. So about 12 seconds. I don't know what the gap was before, but that 12-second gap certainly leads a little bit of leg stretching room for Walker Fowler to be a little more creative in his line choices and things like that. And what I mean by that, there are certain lines, smoother lines, that are well within the confines of what the course is. If these riders see lines that maybe other riders don't and they're able to use, sometimes it's just 6 inches over on the rut.
Oh,
Other
boy.
times it's maybe 10 feet over. He's starting to crack the whip on that.
He's got the bearded Bryson Neal has got the axe out, and he is chipping away at that lead right now. But yeah, I think if I'm Walker, like, to me, if I know it's Bryson behind me, ride smart, manage it, because Bryson is ridiculously fast. So if Walker Fowler comes out here and he just exerts himself and pushes too fast, too early, do you have anything left when Bryson catches up to you?
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I think that what Walker needs to do, he needs to push it right
Real
now.
good.
He needs to, yeah, exactly. He needs to keep that gap between Bryson, especially if Bryson is bridging that gap. Now, if Bryson's not really closing up, he doesn't need to have a sense of urgency. But in all honesty, if there's one rider that can do that, he does need to keep that distance between. It will be Bryson Neal. So if he is closing that gap, he cannot afford to lay back any, because it will be a blink of an eye, and Bryson Neal will be right up on him. And we've seen it. We've seen it happen at Big Buck. It's Walker Fowler out front, command and control, and the next thing you know, there's Bryson Neal.
Not to mention what we talked about earlier. If Bryson beats Walker, we go into round 3. Now Bryson's up, what would it be? It'd be 10-point lead
at least
on Walker Fowler.
And look at this. There he is checking in. We're going to get the official time gap here now as our leaders are beginning to check in here near the finish line. And
well, I think, don't they dip back into the woods there?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at the 9. Yeah, again, 12-mile course, 10.5 but we'll be on 12. So now at Method Alley here, Method race wheels, lighter, stronger, faster, man. Got to get a set of those for my truck. There's no doubt about that.
Same.
And right now, waiting at the 9-mile marker for our next riders. There is that is Hunter Hart. That gap is opening up between second and third. Look at this. There is a hard pushing 4th place position. Is that Cole Richardson now, or was that Glotta maybe?
Thinking.
I don't know. It was I'm looking at the yellow one. This is the one I was looking at. They've changed their style up on me. They totally confused me. I'm going to have to go down and just take pictures before every race. Look at them in their gear, their bike, what the graphics are looking like. I know, like you said, some of these riders have plans to change it up every round.
They keep it interesting.
Yeah. And it helps showcase, different sponsors and things like that. So, I was delving down I wanted to see what was going on in the College A class, and already I'm impressed, Mikey, as I look at the top 20 overall. James Glotta, younger brother of Junior Glotta, is leading the XC2 Pro-Am class, and they've got an even younger brother that was kicking it and killing it earlier today in the micro and youth class races. But anyway, James Glotta is checking in at 19th place overall from that College A class after that first round of racing. So we'll definitely want to keep an eye on him for a top amateur overall spot. The rider that a lot of folks were expecting to see I don't want to say heir apparent, but the rider that was going to be the one to knock off the top shelf for this championship would be Dalton Keys. Is 1 minute and 16 seconds back at the end of lap number 1. Lane McCormick, another fast rider in this class, as another 12 seconds back in the number 3 spot. Chance Hickey is 4th. Nathan Dearborn in 5th. Alex Tiemann is in the 6th spot. Juan Garcia in the number 7 spot on the 362. Damian Hawkins, another fast brat there, 927 in 8th place. 9th place, the 29 of Keaton Henderson, and the 45 of Cody Forrester rounding out the top 10. Nearly every, not all of them, but nearly every one of our top 10 making their way through our youth ranks here in GNCC. And I'll tell you, some of these names, you expect to see up at the front of the pack. And that's the beauty of this, and we'll see it happening a lot over the course of the season. There's going to be a lot of different names racing the top 10. As Fowler checks in here at the 10 now.
Look at he does look like he's pushing Rodney, and so does that man Bryson Neal. So hey, I don't know. I think your gap's still about the same.
No.
I think you don't think so? You count it?
8 seconds.
8 seconds. So he's chipping.
Yeah,
he's chipping.
That's 4 seconds he's knocked off. I just calculate 8 seconds, maybe 9, but it's still 3-4 seconds that he was able to chip away there at that gap. We'll see where it's at when they cross the finish line here in just still a little ways to go before they make that happen. But I think is impressive is the gap that these two are opening up over that third place position. The real race right now, obviously we're keeping our eyes up front, but once that gets settled in, whether or not if Bryson's able to close in on Walker or what, it's going to be right here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we got to think, too.
So Cole Richardson is in that fourth place position. Who was that?
There's Gator.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I was going to say now. That's terrible. Lost my thought. Yeah, it's completely fleeting. It must have been a lie, right? If you forget it that quick, it must have been a lie.
I don't believe that.
Oh, I was going to talk about, how tight everyone was talking about how this track was this morning in the 4x4 of the WXC. We're at 49 minutes, almost 50 minutes into this one now, and you saw earlier already into some lap traffic. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. To me, advantage.
There's McClure, by the way.
So McClure's fallen way off there.
Yeah, McClure is back behind Josh Merritt, who was running 7th. So that has to put McClure at least in a 7th place position. Merritt running in that yellow quad blue gear, by the way.
But I got to think as they get into those lappers, that gap between 2nd and 3rd place right now between Bryson Neal and Hunter Hart is going to be big.
When we came through the finish line at the end of lap number 1, remember I made note 12 seconds separating the top 5, and I said how tight that was. Here we are nearly 26, 27 minutes later, and what a change in the face of this race that has already shaped up. Imagine what it's going to be like at the end of 2 hours. There's the number 9. I believe that may have been Chris Borch making his way by now. So he's
aboard the Yamaha.
Yeah, aboard the Yamaha, losing a little bit of time on this one. I'm not sure what Chris Borch's training regimen is, as we are in the pits now for the second time around, the midway point basically of this race. So they're going to take on a little fuel. There is Walker. I believe that was that Bryson that just came around the corner?
I think so. He would be at the end, I believe, with Magna One Motorsports.
Opposite end, and if that's the case, man, he has closed that gap up maybe even more than that 8 seconds that I calculated just a mile or so back. So take a look at this GBC Tires pit stop.
I'm going to run down the Rodney because I don't know if Bryson Neal stopped or not.
Okay.
I'll go find out.
All right.
We'll get the word on the dirt.
We'll get the word on the dirt to give us a chance to look at some of these other classes coming through too as we watch these riders check in now here at the pit stop on lap number 2, getting ready to head into lap number 3 now. The Formula 88 pits of Hunter Hart, who is now seeing a monumental gap back to himself in the number 3 spot. And there he comes around the corner, and he's still got Richardson hot on his rear grab bar as now Hunter Hart checks in. Quick splash of fuel, fresh goggles, and a quick drink, and Hunter Hart back out and rolling. And the rest of our field now starting to make their way in as riders try to get it sorted out. Again, tough break for Jared McClure running in 3rd. Actually, I believe at one point maybe even as far up as 2nd. Well, was leading on the first lap, but dropping back as far as 7th place position as we're waiting in his pits. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not there may have been an issue and they may have to fix things or something along those lines, or whether maybe he had just made some mistakes and got and fallen back. So they still wait patiently. I'm sure they're wondering a lot of the same things that we are. Where is the Dale Earnhardt mustache? He shaved it? That's the problem. Here he comes. Here comes the, we were calling him Cobra. He's going to have to go back into sneaky. Now he's going to have to stay in Cobra mode right now, it looks like. So he's telling Sexy there what is going on as Jared McClure, fuel, goggles, fresh drink. He's back off and rolling, still holding on to about that 7th, 8th place position as he rolls toward the finish line, and what he expects to see as a 2-lap board along with the rest of the field. We're less than 2 minutes away from that now. And Mikey Waynes will be giving us some updates coming up here in just a moment as to what is and did take place. And I'm going to say, I think that Bryson Neal did pit. I'm not sure if, but it looked like he may have also closed up the gap a little bit. Could have lost a little bit of time in his pit stop. Could have gained some time in that pit stop. And like Mikey says, did he take the pit stop? It was hard to see from our vantage point. There is the number 1 of Walker Fowler in, and there is the number 241, Bryson Neal, 6 seconds back as he is closing in. This is the lap times, folks. It was only a 7-second faster lap. Remember, he wasn't hardly 12 seconds off the pace of Walker Fowler when they finished up in lap number 1. He was 7 seconds faster. He's brought that now to 6 seconds, so about 13 seconds is about what I had calculated at the end of lap number 1, 12, 13 seconds, and that is reflective of what we're seeing right here at the end of lap number 2 now. And the big question is, how large is that gap back to the 3rd place position, the number 2 of Hunter Hart? That is a big question that we want to have answered. Now, what kind of roll are our front 2 runners on? They are pounding this out, and remarkably, Bryson Neal, who did not train in Florida, who barely rode his ATV since his injury at the John Penton nearly a year ago, is closing in on, and it looks like we may have a new 3rd place ride. We do. Cole Richardson is in. Hunter Hart is in the number 4 spot. So a change of the guard there. Adam McGill also moving up there in that pit stop exchange as he moves up into the number 5 position. Junior Glotta checks in the number 6 spot. Devin Feehan now 7th. Jared McClure has dropped at least to an 8th place position now. And I believe Mikey Wayne's about ready to give us an update from down there on VP Fuels Pro Row in just a moment to let us know what's going on. So we're waiting on Feehan right now. It'll be interesting to find out what is going on, and Mikey Waynes is our man to find out.
Bryson Neal Pits of Magna One Motorsports Pits can confirm Bryson Neal did take a pit stop right there, so nothing to worry about there. Camera angle, it's just long enough. There's so many guys on Pro Row right here. We couldn't get the camera angle. I came down here and said, hey, did Bryson pit? Did he pit? They said, yes, he did. All is good. I'm going to head over to the McClure pits now, see if we can find out what happened with Jared.
All right, thanks a lot, Mikey. And as he does that, we speculate, we wonder, and we check in with more of our riders, since here McClure did finally check in at the finish line as well. 48 seconds down. He turned a 28:04. That is about 2 minutes and 10 seconds off the pace of Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal right now. Neal, by the way, once again, a 25:48. Cole Richardson just topped off a 26:56, basically 1 minute off the pace of the front 2 runners. Cole Richardson, a minute and 5 seconds behind 2nd place. Then it's Hunter Hart in 4th, Adam McGill, as we said, rounding out the top 5. Bryson Neal, the Bidwell Bullet, looks like someone has pulled the trigger. Can he hit his mark? Can he stop Walker Fowler from making history right now as Devin Feehan, Chris Boar checks in on the number 9. He's back there in the number 10 spot, and I believe that is going to bring us to a moment where we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with some amateur rundowns and more GNCC racing here from the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC.
USMCA has been connecting riders to certified coaches since 2016. There are over 300 active certified coaches on motorcyclecoaching.org, and we recently launched our new mobile app, making it easy to connect with a coach and book your next training session. So here's what you do. Download the Motorcycle Coaching app, then search for coaches and upcoming classes. Once a training session is booked, riders have the option to pay for their class and even get a calendar reminder that will automatically sync to their phone. Get connected today.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that. Because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
Brown's RV Superstore is family owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins.
So last race obviously wasn't exactly what we wanted. We ended up with a 7th, but we ended up coming out with a good position because in years past we've always been struggling at round 1 to even finish the race. So with us coming in at round 2, obviously as you see, there's nothing but luscious beach sand here. It is dry as hell, and there is no time for breaks anywhere. I'm telling you, this race is definitely going to separate from the men from the boys. Thank God I'm one of the oldest guys in the class.
All right, Adam McGill, the Gator, talking about the sand there as we roll through this now third lap of racing here at the Wild Boar GNCC. Rodney Tomlin along with Mikey Waynes, who is out and about right now, checking things out in the pits right now to see what's going on. And, of course, what we know going on, Walker Fowler leading Bryson Neal at last check was just basically 6 seconds. Cole Richardson another minute and 5 seconds back in third. Hunter Hart another 5 seconds back in fourth. Adam McGill was about 5 seconds back of that in fifth. Then Junior Glotta, the 7-12 in sixth. Devin Feehan was running seventh. Jared McClure checked in eighth. Chris Borich actually in ninth. Josh Merritt rounding out the top 10. So Merritt losing some time out there on that one. Also Steve Harrell checking in the XC2 Pro-Am class, still leading the XC2 Pro-Am class, and he's 11th overall. But that gap between Merritt and between Harrell and Chandron now down to 1.5 seconds, as about 20 seconds was shaved off that lead by Chandron there on lap number 2, it looks like. Tanner Walker running in the number 3 spot and is 13th place overall, only 2.3 seconds back of Jay Chandron. And looks like Trey Seifert still waiting on him to check in. We see just outside the top 10 in the XC1 class, Ronnie Rush and Austin Abney have both, I believe, checked in what would be, if I'm not mistaken, the 11th and 12th place positions. Yes, they have. So our top 12 riders have checked in. One rider that hasn't checked in, I haven't seen Johnny Gallagher checked in for even one lap so far. So don't know what's going on with Johnny G, but rider 43 years old, celebrating his 28th season as an XC1 Pro Class racer. And speaking of age, I didn't realize it, but we were looking. Chris Borich, 39 years old, still a strong competitor for top 10s and even top 5s on occasion. And I'm sure in his heart and in his mind, and I'm sure on his good days, even for wins here in GNCC racing. So it'll be exciting to see what happens here as Chris Borich nears the 40-year age mark. And, remarkable what this sport and sports in general, where we're seeing riders really excelling in their older years. I mean, riders anymore don't even begin to mature till they're about 25, 26 and begin winning championships. Now, you do have a few folks that do and don't abide by that rule, but once riders really grasp it, they're usually in their mid to late 20s and heading into their 30s. They really seem to at least nowadays, have a good grasp on what's going on and how to win races. And it's such a far cry different than whenever I started. It seemed like so many years ago in the early 90s, if you were 21 years old and still racing pro class, you were ancient. Usually at that particular juncture, injury riddled and things of that nature. But that's not so much the case now. And look at this. We have got things. Is that the 241? I believe it is. He has got Walker Fowler well within sight. He has got Walker Fowler within 2 to 3 seconds ahead of him now here at the FMF PowerPoint. And things are tightening up as far as this XC1 Pro class is concerned here on lap number 3. And just exactly what we said, Walker Fowler needed the sprint, he needed the run, but man, could he outrun that 241, the Bidwell Bullet. The trigger's been pulled. The question is it going to hit its mark? Because it is traveling at high velocity right now, and he is about to certainly hit that target. Now, where is he going? Is he going to be able to make the bullseye? We still got some time to figure that one out, and if he can get around Walker Fowler, will he be able to maintain that lead? Look at this gap. 1 minute and 5 seconds, I think, has actually lengthened even more at this particular juncture, and we may be looking more closer to the 1 minute 20 second to 1 minute 30 second range before we see Cole Richardson finally making his way into sight now here at the FMF PowerPoint. And we are just seeing him off in the distance making his way in and winding around, it looks like. And I don't think that's even him. That is certainly not a pro rider. At least he's not riding like a pro rider right now. That rider looks to be a little bit on the worn out side. There is, that's Cole Richardson now in that number 3 position. So he's still holding steady in point on that spot. As we look back a little further, it was Hunter Hart. He was about 5 seconds back. And I have to, yeah, it looks like that has changed up a little bit. Hunter's gotten some riders in between. Was that the 7 of Devin Feehan that had moved up a couple of spots there? I'm not sure. That it's an awful lot of time to have made up between there and the finish line, but that may have been the number 2 of Hart, one of our B-class riders, intermediate level riders, off to the side of the track, overshot the turn, got hung up on the berm. One of our track people out there, actually a spectator, what they call, I guess we have mud fleas everywhere else. I guess these guys could be sand fleas out helping our GNCC racers. That's the beauty of GNCC. Oftentimes spectator can be a part of the racing action, but definitely got to watch and mind your P's and Q's if you're going to be one of those kind of spectators, that's for sure. Right now, watching and wondering about that XC2 Pro-Am class. Steve Harrell, Jay Shadron both checking in now, 1.5 seconds. They have a 2 minute and 13 second lead over Tanner Walker in third. Brandon Owens another minute and 13 seconds back in fourth. Dylan Walraven another 43 seconds back in fifth. So something really separating our XC2 Pro-Am class there after their first 2 laps of racing. And as we delve a little further down and check in with, I believe, this College A class, James Glotta, we've got our top 3 in with 2 laps. James Glotta now with a 2 minute 38 second lead over Dalton Keys. Nathan Dearborn out of Davis, West Virginia, 1 minute right behind Dalton Keys, so a minute solid behind that. Still waiting on Lane McCormick to check in. I'm not sure, but I believe that Lane was running third at the end of lap 1, and he may have dropped off a spot, so this will be interesting to see how things are starting to shake up there. Chance Hickey running back in the number 5 spot at the end of 1 in College A class. These are names that you're going to be seeing move up into the XC2 ranks in the coming years, and eventually in the XC1. Alex Tiemann, Juan Garcia, also Damian Hawkins back in 8th, Keaton Henderson in 9th, and Cody Forrester. Now that was after 1. Don't be surprised if you see Damian Hawkins moving up a couple of positions. I'm surprised, honestly, to see him that far back here today. Another class that we keep an eye on out here with us is, of course, that Junior A oftentimes. And Junior A, Alex Elioff leading that one, the 317 out of Valley City, Ohio. Caden Ryan, Julio Roying, and Seth Wilson, your top 4 with Andrew Hickson rounding out the top 5. And right now, FMF PowerPoint as we watch some of these XC1 Pro Class riders checking in. As we said, Fowler and Neal with about a minute and 20-second lead now over Cole Richardson, Hunter Hart back and forth, Adam McGill in. Junior Glotta in the 6th, Devin Feehan in 7th, Jared McClure 8th, Chris Borch 9th. Josh Merritt, I believe we may have just seen going by there at the FMF PowerPoint in that 10th place position now. Mikey Waynes with updates from down on VP Fuels Pro Row. Mikey?
Hey, Rodney, wanted to give you guys an update on Jared McClure. Nothing mechanical. He is starting to feel a little ill. He was feeling a little under the weather as he headed into today's race. He said he's been pounding water all night last night, all day this morning, and just I think it's starting to take its toll on him. I think maybe that explains the big jump early. He thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to last this whole 2 hours. Let me push up front as quick as I can. But obviously you see this race down here in Florida taking a toll on him. Got to be thinking he's starting to get a little dehydrated out there.
Yeah, if that be the case, Mikey, that's a tough one to swallow, I know, for him. But he's doing everything that he can to manage and salvage as many championship points as he can. And definitely a very taxing issue to have whenever you're trying to run at the level we're running at here today. And you have to think that as well, so is the sands very taxing. Look at this. They are nose to tail at the 8-mile marker. Bryson Neal is right there at his target now. Can he hit the bullseye? Can he make the pass? And can he stretch it out? If he does, he has closed that gap now down to 6 seconds. Remember, we saw him about 6 miles ago or less on the trail, and he was running about 12 seconds back. He has bridged that gap now. He is all the way up to the rear grab bar of Walker Fowler at the Monster Mile, mile marker number 8. Wow. And again, talking with, it was a joke, obviously. We were talking with Bryson Neal. I said, so what are you going to do today? I said, you didn't really push yourself the last race. He said, yeah, I'm just going to go out and cruise around, putt around. Didn't even act like and he just kind of smiled at me. He wasn't being facetious in any way. He just didn't know what to expect down here in Florida with the sands and things like that. And being where he is in his training program and coming back, but I know that he's certainly impressive in impressing the masses on the recovery that he has made as he strikes hard and he strikes hot here in the early part of 2022. Fowler checking in now. Seems to maybe have put a little bit of distance back there, at least of what we were seeing there. Just, well, maybe not as much as I thought. And Bryson Neal using a few alternative lines out there, trying to smooth this race course out. Actually, that may have worked out for him. It was a little longer to go on that line, but a little smoother, so it may have given him a little bit of an advantage coming out of that section, and definitely some drive coming down that part. We still haven't seen second place at the 8-mile marker, folks. That's just what I want to tell you. And we just saw a little further ahead on the trail down past the Monster Mile, our leaders checking in. And finally, Cole Richardson now checking in that number 3 position here at the Monster Mile. Reflecting back, we are definitely pushing minute and a half or better back that far right now. As we look back to that 4th place position, Hunter Hart, we should be seeing Adam McGill rounding that turn here in just a moment, coming into this Monster Mile. And that's not McGill, that is John Glotta. Junior Glotta has moved into the number 5 spot now, so we got a new 5th place ride, and JR has made it happen out there. There is the Gator. Adam McGill now running in the 6th place position, and right behind him, Devin Feehan now in that 7th place position. So a few troubles there for, looks like Adam McGill there here on lap number 3 at the 8-mile marker. Riders coming around, I believe we'll be looking at a white flag. They're maybe not. We're due in about 6 minutes. I don't know where we're going to fall in this one and what the lap times are going to bring, but we're definitely right on the verge. This could end up being a 5-lap race. So now don't quote me on that. They may have already called it a 4-lap race, but The thing to think about here is the pace that they're running at, 25, 26-minute lap times. They check in 6 minutes. That'll put us at the hour and 20-minute mark. Another 25 minutes onto that would then put us only at maybe the hour and 45-minute mark. So, yeah, we may be looking at a little long race today. Again, it's going to hinge, I guess, on where they're at and when they're coming there toward that finish line region. This is going to be exciting to find out. At least in my book, I haven't seen what they're doing down at the finish line. May not even have the 2-lap board out yet, and I'm not sure what their plan is here. But, wow, Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal are on rails right now, and they are rolling. Rolling Cohen. Look, they're rolling up on some lap traffic here pretty soon as well as we wait on the leaders now here at the 10-mile marker. Approaching 1 hour and 15 minutes into this race. Leaders due in just over 5 minutes now. And there they are at the 10-mile marker. No change up front. It's still Bryson Neal. He's staying just back far enough not to catch that roost and suck in any of that loose sand through this section of the race course. Specialized Turbo Evo section of our course. And so, again, we're looking at about a minute and a half. I wouldn't be surprised if it's pushing close to a minute 45 when we see them check in at the end, and maybe even 2 minutes. If they're staying on that 1 minute faster pace as they were on lap 2, at the end of lap 2 over Cole Richardson, then theoretically they will be 2 minutes ahead, maybe a little further than that, of Cole Richardson. And still no sign of Hunter Hart that I've seen, unless I had my head turned there for a moment and he made his way through. But that gap has opened up between 3rd and 4th now. And remember, Junior Glada has moved up around Adam McGill to take over the 5th place position the last time we saw him out there at the 8-mile marker. So what kind of surprises and changes will 2 more miles of race course bring us here on lap number 3? We wait so patiently to see. Great way to kick off this Bike Week Daytona Supercross coming up on tonight. You'll be able to catch that on Peacock and NBC affiliates, and of course we'll be live tomorrow here from the Wild Boar GNCC for motorcycle racing, and then coming up on Monday we'll be heading over to the Daytona International Speedway for the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross, and on Tuesday it's back, ATV Supercross coming back to Racer TV, so it's going to be pretty exciting to see that happening, no doubt about it. Fans enjoying themselves down on GBC's Power Sport Tires Pro Row now, it looks like. Lining the fences down there, waiting on their favorite riders to check in as they know they're only moments away. Mikey Wayne's finding his way back into the 250 trailer now. Dude, I tell you, man, what kind of, big changes out there. Hey, like I said, he needed to run. He needed to run and punch it out as hard as he could, because if he was coming that hard, that's what it was going to take. But look what it's done. It is, I'm going to say 2 minutes or more whenever they check in over 3rd place at the end of this lap.
Yeah, they've checked out there. There's no doubt about that. And here, over the halfway mark. Rodney, have we gotten reports? Have you heard whether or not it's going to be a 4 or a 5 lap race yet?
I haven't heard. I'm doing the calculations. It's right there on the hinge. It could go either way as we head down Pro Road now. Here comes Walker Fowler, and right there behind him still 241 Bryson Neal. I was afraid that lap rider might dive back in on him, but he didn't. So thankfully that's going to not cause any issues as we head now toward the finish line. They'll be in about a minute and a half as we wait. Race fans are waiting, as I like to say, with bated breath right now for their favorite rider to round that turn. And Coltrane going to be getting that locomotive up and rolling here, I'm sure. But, at the same time, I have to think he's got to be pretty solid, pretty satisfied, knowing probably what's going on. He's seeing those numbers, you're this far down, but what he's worried about at this point, how far up is he on the guy behind him?
Yeah, for sure. He might have some company here soon. Man, bummer about Jared McClure.
Yeah.
You could just tell talking to the guys, talking to Big Sexy down in the pits, man. He's like, bad. Just not feeling well.
He probably got sick because he shaved the mustache, man.
That's right.
Mustache
Big Sexy
withdrawals.
didn't show up as Dale Earnhardt, and that's
made
what
him sick.
Yeah.
We're blaming it on him regardless.
But you know what? Hey, coming up from, he lives up in upstate New York, coming from literally I think 10 inches of snow they had up there, something like that. Coming down here to Florida, that's a tall ask on your body.
Well, I tell you, Mikey Waynes, I've been talking about it. You're wondering about it. You mentioned it about as far as the length of this race. Now, again, granted, if I've got it calculated, if they only go the 4 laps, I would calculate it's right there, maybe in the neighborhood of an hour and 45 minutes, maybe a little less. It could be a little more. I don't know if it's going to slow down or not. But if it does go the 5 laps, that does put us in a 2-hour, 10-minute time frame here. Now, all of a sudden, questions start to rise about endurance.
Yeah.
Walker Fowler has been down here training all winter in these conditions, pounding the sand whoops all winter. Bryson Neal has it, though he shows great bike fitness in the early part of this race. We all know the hour-and-a-half mark is where the real tell the tape starts to happen there. Once you hit that hour and 30-minute mark, and especially when you approach the 2-hour mark, can he hang on to it, and can he still pressure Walker Fowler? Can he get around Walker Fowler? And, there's some looming questions that I'm sure a lot of folks are thinking, and maybe even Bryson Neal at this point.
Right.
He's probably hoping that Walker slows down so he doesn't have to go that extra lap.
Well, it sure don't look like they're slowing down here, Rodney. We got some wheel-to-wheel action. Walker Fowler, check it out. There's our answer.
Yep,
it's going to be a 4-lap race.
All right, calculating this, they did come in a little bit late. That lap time was that put us at an hour and 20 minutes on the race clock, 26-minute lap time. So that will put us an hour and 46 minutes. So we will be over the hour and 45. What happened to this? This sand has got me, man.
I'm telling you, it's daunting. That was going to be my point, Rodney, was, hey, if we do go the 5 hours, you got to put your money, or excuse me, five hours. Can you imagine? Everybody out there just goes, oh, please, God, no. 5 laps, which we're not, but you'd think the easy money would be on Walker Fowler because he's acclimated. He's been down here. Bryson hasn't. However, Bryson Neal's built like a Greek god, and maybe it doesn't matter because, I thought we had that figured out in round 1, and he threw that out the window. White flag. Bryson Neal, is he going to turn it on now, Rodney? Now he says, okay, I've chipped away at it enough. Time to sweep the leg.
No, I don't think so. I think he's just out cruising, man. He's not pushing.
He said, "Let's me and you, Walker. Let's alternate wins in second place and take it to Iron."
You have to be wondering what is going through both of those riders' minds right now. You know that Walker has to be, like you say, looking for the leg sweep to come out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And I know that right now Bryson Neal is looking for every opportunity to surprise him with something like that. But I almost have to think at this juncture, at the way that he caught him, that we're going to see Bryson Neal ride behind Walker and see if he can't just force him into that little mistake, that little split-second mistake that basically opens the door wide open, and he doesn't have to force any issues, doesn't have to take any unnecessary chances or necessary, depending on what the case may be. So, I'm thinking that's the way we're going to see Bryson. That's my opinion, the way I see Bryson, at least in the first half of this lap. If he can't get around him that way, then all of a sudden I think the gloves are off. Leg sweeps or maybe even taking out the knee.
Sweep.
Maybe taking that knee out.
Take out the knee.
Oh man. Walker Fowler, less than a lap to go here. Mikey Wayne's on his way to a historic 8th consecutive win here at this Wild Boar GNCC. Can he make it happen? Can Bryson Neal stop him in his tracks? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
Hey, I'm Jared Bolton, GNCC Junior Trail Boss. We get to use a wide variety of vehicles in my line of work. We use our Yamaha Grizzly ATVs. We've got Yamaha Viking side-by-sides. We also have the KTM 300 XCW dirt bikes. That allows us to use a lot of different AMSOIL products. And even when we do use our chainsaws, we even use the AMSOIL Dominator premix in those as well. The entire GNCC track crew runs on AMSOIL.
I couldn't believe what happened. Oil consumption in my vehicle actually went down. Every 2 to 3 tanks, I was having to put a quart of oil in my motor. And when I started using the AMSOIL, almost immediately I noticed that the oil consumption started to slow down. I mean, initially it was still going, but it slowed down, and then it slowed down, and then it slowed down to where basically I was very rarely ever adding oil to my vehicle because the AMSOIL actually went in, and I feel really refreshed and recharged that motor and opened a few things up and actually made my motor work not only well because of the lubrication, but it also helped that old motor revive itself. Racer TV runs on AMSOIL.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Mikey Waynes alongside Rodney Tomlin. And looking at mile marker number 8 there, the Monster Mile. Hey, while we were away, Devin Feehan actually bumped up into the number 3 spot in the overall. Now, I will say he is about, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 minutes and 48 seconds back. So an enormous gap between second and third right now. Walker Fowler on screen moving through the FMF PowerPoint. Where is Bryson Neal? There he is. So Bryson, man, I don't know if it's the shadows or if Bryson went down, but I got to say the right side of the back of that jersey looks a lot like some dark Florida sand right there, Rodney. So And if he did go down, that does explain the gap now between him that was not there when they came through for the white flag.
Right, and honestly, sweating and dust and things of that nature. And I wonder what happened to this rider. We hadn't seen him check in for one lap complete, and now he makes his way into the broadcast booth. Our fellow journalist here and commentator, Mr. Johnny Gallagher, out of the race early today. I don't know. This doesn't happen very often, Johnny. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, it was not a good day. Had an issue. I don't really know what to say about it. Had an issue. We don't have those often, but we had a big one today. So take it as a team and move forward. Felt good. Was able to move up through the pack a little bit there towards the end of the first lap. Found a rhythm, but it's it was a rough one. We're gonna have a lot of work to do before Georgia. We got a bike that's in pretty bad shape. So hats off though to these guys, man. It's a rough track, and it's watching the way this one's unfolding. Obviously, it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback, but kind of more of the same of what I expected. 2-horse race out front. A lot of guys shuffling over that final podium position. But Walker Fowler, you shouted it out earlier, Rodney. You said you didn't want to talk about it, you didn't want to jinx it, but he's won every race here, and looking like he could possibly be on the way to do that again. But Bryson Neal, probably the last man standing between Walker and a perfect run here at Hogwaller for this would be 8 years in a row.
Yeah, that's remarkable in and of itself, and to be in this position. And there he is, Walker Fowler out here at the FMF Power Point once again. We're going to get a clock on it.
I just had a radio crackle. It was 15 seconds per one of the spotters. I got a radio in my pocket here, but Walker, big mistake there off the track, and that's going to cost him a couple seconds. So to me, it looks like, we don't often see Walker lose his composure, but I think what we're seeing right now is he is running. He's trying to open up that gap. He does not want to let Bryson get close enough to essentially to see him, because they're going to be coming through here, and at this point, this is the final stretch run to the finish.
26:22 lap time for Fowler. Last time through a 26:17. That gap had closed to .787. It was less than a second when they came through, and we're now looking at near a 15-second gap. So whatever happened, it was quick, but it was quick enough and long enough to allow Walker to make the mistake that we just saw him make there just a moment ago, and Bryson has absolutely no idea it happened.
Yeah, and that's I think the big thing right now is these guys are if Bryson can get back to his rear wheels, which honestly I think with lappers and all, I think we're going to see Bryson close that gap. I think we're going to see him get back to Walker's rear wheels, if I'm being honest. I think that's going to be a mental victory for Bryson, but it's a loss because then he's back in the sand roost zone and he's back in the dust. Obviously, you have to be there to capitalize to make a pass. Bryson may or may not have a line picked out. Walker may or may not leave the door open, essentially what we saw the last lap at Big Buck 2 weeks ago, but obviously, at this point, if you're Walker Fowler, you're going to lay everything you have on the line to try and open that gap up so that if something like what we just saw on screen happens, or even an unforeseen running with a lapper, you've got that little bit of pad, which right now he has. I don't know who's going to win this one, but I can tell you right now, looking at this, I think it's going to come back to wheel before the finish, regardless of who comes out on top, just because it's so hard with lappers, and as one-lined as this track is in the woods, it's so hard if you're out front and you're in Walker's position to maintain that lead. Once Walker goes by, the lapped riders know that the leaders are coming. They're going to keep their head on a swivel and be watching for Bryson. But I think the big thing to talk about, and I apologize, I haven't been listening to you guys.
No,
look at this gap back to third.
Insane.
Exactly.
And I think what we're seeing right now is we're seeing the flexing of the muscle of our two who we knew would be championship contenders, and now they're just proving it like, hey guys, this is a 2-horse race for this race and for this championship.
Devin Feehan, when they checked him, was 2:38 back. But what I want to point out is 26:22, 26:17 for Walker and Bryson. But you go, our next fastest rider was Devin Feehan, your third place rider. He was 1 minute and 10 seconds, almost 1 minute and 15 seconds behind Bryson Neal, 1 minute and 10 seconds off the pace of Walker Fowler right there. Cole Richardson, a 27:55, well over 1.5 minutes off the pace of Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal right now. Junior Glada, 27:50, same case scenario. I mean, the lap times that the front two are turning down right now are just remarkable. And to think, honestly, that we're going to see a possible 3+, maybe 3.5 minute lead over third place at the end of this one is not unfathomable, I don't think.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned there Devin Feehan moving up into the third place spot. His lap time, although maybe roughly a minute and a half off of Walker and Bryson, obviously, there's a big difference there. Devin was coming through several riders. I think he was back at the end of lap 1, back in the 10th or 11th place spot, and worked his way all the way up to now he's in third. So over the course of 2 laps, and I'd mentioned just a moment ago, Rodney, this track, incredibly tough to pass on. I believe that is Devin Feehan right there. It definitely is. By the way, he charged off that roller. So he's not giving up on it. He's still charging forward, but I think it is just a bridge too far to cross to get up any closer. There is now our 4th place rider, Cole Richardson, the 733 on that Gettle Nissan-backed Action Off-Road Thule Energy Yamaha, just pushing it there. And Cole, obviously, one of the riders that spends his entire winter, many of whom spend their entire winter down here in Florida racing the FTRs. So a rider we expected to see for contending for podiums, and he is right up in there in it. Yeah, looking good for the Cole train.
It is. He had a great run going. I don't know what happened there. He looked like he was bridging gap. And then we saw that, he was like a minute off pace. And then the next half a lap, by the half a lap, things had really changed quite a bit. So the FMF PowerPoint we continue to watch here as more riders check in. Just an idea of how we're looking in the overall right now. Again, Fowler, Neal, Feehan, Richardson, Glotta, your top 5.
Here's your battle over the 5th place spot, and that is the training teammates from Kroom, Adam McGill and Hunter Hart, back there battling over that 5th place spot. So that is 5th and 6th as they run on the track.
Jared McClure checked in 8th. Borch was 9th, and Josh Merritt was in the 10 spot. Jay Shadron now leading the XC2 class. 11th place overall. Steve Harrell drops a minute and 13 seconds back in that number 2 spot, and 12th overall. Ronnie Rush is 13th overall. Austin Abney, 14th overall. Tanner Walker, 3rd in XC2 Pro-Am, is 15th overall. And James Glotta, the College A class leader, is 16th overall. Followed then by Brandon Owens, 17th overall. Dylan Walraven, Wyatt Wilkin, and Grayson Eller rounding out the top 20 here at the end of lap 3. Well, actually lap 2 for the majority of those guys. We're still waiting on Brandon Owens and Grayson Eller to check in for their 3rd laps complete. Johnny, we mentioned that gap between 2nd and 3rd. Remarkably, there's a lot of those gaps out there today. I mean, what is the cause of that?
So I was just going to actually speak to that when you were talking about, some of these guys still waiting to complete their 3rd lap, and obviously we're seeing the leaders all the way out nearing the halfway mark on their 4th and final lap. The track, Rodney, it is brutally rough. Obviously, I only completed, well, didn't even actually complete 1 lap. There's our leader on screen, Walker Fowler, coming the other way in the FMF PowerPoint. And Jared McClure just going the opposite direction. It gives you an idea of the gap.
Whoa.
And again, that gap has come down. Bryson Neal, 5 seconds behind Walker Fowler, tracking him down. And I think that what you're seeing right there, the lapped riders, you see 1, 2, 3. Walker Fowler just had to make all those passes. That is a very tight section coming to the backside of the PowerPoint. More likely than not, that allowed Bryson, which Bryson is pushing probably even at a higher rate than Walker is. Walker's, trying to hold that lead, but at the same time, giving it everything he's got, but also trying to keep it under control. The biggest thing is that right there, the dust. He's making dust. Bryson has to ride through that dust, but you can see Bryson absolutely charging, trying to get to the rear wheels. Rodney, I really believe lappers will be the tail of this race. From this point now at the 8-mile marker, we got some tight one-line sections coming up. And for these guys, it's really going to come down to if Walker can get around a few lappers and Bryson doesn't going into a tight section, the race is over. If Walker gets caught behind some lappers and Bryson can see an alternate line, or even those guys trying to move out of the way, Walker tangles with them, advantage Bryson. I really honestly believe this race will come down to lappers in the final 3 miles.
Johnny,
4 miles, sorry.
We look at a lot of this this terrain out here. There is a lot of the forest that has been planted, and therefore it has been in rows, and there's wide areas out there, and there's multiple areas that you can go in, and line choices as far as that goes. This section right here looks to be a little more hardwood. There looks to be a lot more of that Florida terrain that we've known and talked about a lot, and that, of course, is those palmettos and things of that nature, that undergrowth that gives folks so much trouble.
Rodney, with the change in here's Walker Fowler on screen coming through the Yamaha forest, hammer down, doing everything he can to try and stretch that leg out, the lead out, rather. What I was going to point out, though, look at how short Walker Fowler is, even when standing up, barely off of the seat. Bryson Neal, a much taller rider, using those long legs as a suspension advantage.
Yeah.
And we could sit here and say, these tall guys, they have such an advantage in the whoops. 7 times Walker Fowler has won this race, you know, but I think even, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, we saw this come down to a battle in the final miles between Walker and Bryson. So, and this is kind of the clash of two titans, obviously, but also of two completely different approaches to winter training. Bryson Neal stays up north, stays home, rides in the cold, rides in the wet, doesn't, to my knowledge at least, doesn't even come down and ride in the sand during the winter, but yet every year comes down here and contends for a win or a podium in Florida. Walker Fowler lives down here from essentially the end of the season, or, you know, right around the holidays, comes down here and has been here nonstop, riding the sand, beating in the whoops, you know, just beating himself into submission and saying, hey man, you know, I need to be ready for the start of the season, which I think definitely contributes to how strong he is at this particular track.
Yeah, definitely. He fuels himself over the winter, and his shortcomings from the season before, which are not very many, but for Walker Fowler, what would be a very small shortcoming, we think, for him, we'd say it's a 10-gallon barrel for him. You know, I mean, that's the way that he fuels himself, and that's what he does. He pounds the whoops. You know, one thing I do have to admit, and I think I pointed this out last time, I was impressed with a little more social media presence by Walker Fowler this offseason than in seasons past too.
Yeah, you know, I think Walker's growing into his role as a champion and as a ambassador for the sport, for his, not only his sponsors, but the sport as a whole. You know, he's never been the guy that's real comfortable kind of being out there in the public eye. Very friendly, easy to talk to, but just doesn't spend a lot of time on social media. Same with Bryson. I mean, basically arguably your two top riders in terms of performance over the past several seasons are just not exactly out there pushing themselves on social media. But I think Walker's realizing that as a now 7-time champion and the face of many of these brands, he needs to kind of get himself out there a little bit more, and I think he's enjoying it to a degree. But I'll tell you one thing, Rodney, 9 miles into this, not enjoying this track are either Walker Fowler or Bryson Neal or any of the guys behind them. To kind of back to that point you were talking about a few moments ago, how things are so strung out, I really think that is just a fact of even Bryson and Walker in this point, although as fast as they're going, and they actually are more or less battling, this is really survival mode. They've shut their brains off at this point, and they're just surviving and driving themselves through the pain and the agony.
I'll tell you, some riders doing that as well a little further back, checking in now with 3 laps complete. We talked about James Glada in that top 20 overall, now running in 17th. He was up as high as 15th, but has now dropped to 17th overall. But he's leading that College A class. He's top amateur right now. College A second-place rider Dalton Keys has now taken over the 19th place position, and Alex Alioff.
It's getting close, Rodney.
Alex Alioff, by the way, is now 3rd as far as top amateur. He's your leader of the Junior A22 Plus class in 21st overall. And, Johnny, I'm sorry. Yes, you're absolutely correct there.
3 seconds, maybe.
Tightening up. And just like you said, you know, this is what we kind of expected, especially with the lap traffic. And as we get closer, we're now within 2 miles or so of the finish line at this particular point. And I know this track, there's a lot of variation in it, and what are we looking at this next 2 miles?
Rodney, I'm chomping at the bit to say something here, and the reason why is I don't know where we have camera shots, but I really hope we have something before they make it to the pro pits. And the reason why, from here at the 10-mile marker, those are those one-line tunnel-ish sections that I was talking about, and this is where lappers are going to loom large. Basically, from where they're at, they cross over a little field section, out along a fence, and then they go into, you remember all those years we had the shots of the big water holes out in the front section?
Right.
Well, those are dried up this year, so they ran us through like these tunnels in the trees. You're completely encapsulated in like a magical tunnel, but it's one line, and they're so long. Some of them are, you're in there for 30, 45 seconds, a minute in these, and there's nowhere for a lapper to get out of the way, even if they want to. So if these guys are catching lappers in there, that is going to, you know, really, really, really close this race up. I think when we next see them, we are going to see one of the two of them leading and the other one on his rear wheels, because we saw lappers on screen ahead of them. We're about to see this race really tighten up. Then from there, it's just kind of a sprint, you know, around the back edge of the pits, obviously, through some pines. There's a couple of 2-line sections where, you know, if you want to take the rougher, more direct line, you may be able to make a pass. But passing difficult on this track, I really think, to repeat myself for the 30th time, lappers are what is going to determine the outcome.
Most certainly, and again, just waiting right now. This is the hardest part of the race, I think, for me, is just waiting, especially when we get to this point. But it's the most exciting part of the race for me too.
This is my first time in here on a Saturday.
I know. Well, welcome aboard. You could be in here a lot next year.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, no, it's obviously cool to see the race from this perspective. Obviously, I get the after the fact rundown of how the race played out for the win or in front of me, unless it's the rare occasion that I'm actually up there close enough to see it. But yeah, man, this is exciting for sure, and all the fans at home. I hope you topped off your drinks, and I hope you got your popcorn popping, because man, things are really heating up here, and with less than 2 miles of action left, this one is really coming down to the wire.
Less than 3 minutes, we expect to see our leaders at the checker flag. Will it be Walker Fowler? Will he get win number 8, continue the winning streak and the historical marks he makes in GNCC racing, or will Bryson Neal take that shot, hit the bullseye, and stop him dead in his tracks? I tell you what, like we said, we've got now about 2 minutes to get that sorted out in right now, Johnny, and I'm dancing around here as happy as any race fan can be. You can't script these kind of finishes. You cannot script these kind of races and things that take place out here each and every week. And you just cannot even imagine what is going to happen out there.
I've got a little bit of a bone to pick with Mikey Waynes, because I just came in here to check in with you guys, and he bailed. So now I'm here. I want to go watch this thing at the finish. I've never seen one of these things come across the finish line, but I'll stay in here with you. We'll call it, and then once that settles in, then I'll pedal over there and congratulate these guys.
Hey, you should have hollered at me. I guess we could have switched rules. I would have stayed in the booth with Rodney. I didn't even think about that, Johnny.
No, you're good. Just kidding you, Mikey. Third place on screen, Devin Feehan coming across there, and it looks like he's opened up a little bit of a more comfortable gap on Cole Richardson there in that fourth. Whoa, John Glotta Jr. up to fourth, made his way around Cole Richardson. We actually missed him on camera last time, so Glotta now up into the fourth place spot, and actually looking like he's closing in on Feehan, and there is your fifth place rider, Cole Richardson. So that actually bumps McGill and Hart back to 6th and 7th, which we have them on screen, but in that last camera shot, well, Adam Gordon came in here and was talking to us, but I missed John Glotta. I don't know if you saw him or not.
Well, I'd seen him running around in that 5th place position. I knew he was back there looming, and it was kind of bouncing around there. But, man, he's around Richardson now up to the 4th place position, and look at the crowd that is gathering around. And this is not even at the finish line yet. This is several hundred yards, several hundred feet leading into the finish line itself. What a crowd we've got here in Florida this year, man. I mean, it is packed in here again, and a good showing of riders all day today, and the race fans that have come in to witness this for themselves. My good buddy Jeff Hines, the voice of Florida Motocross and one of the big national amateur race announcers that I work with many years, is here, and he's never been to a GNCC. He says, buddy, I'm coming to more of these in the future. And I'm like, you know it, baby.
Well, Rodney, let me tell you, I see you kind of looking at me weird and wondering why I'm looking out the back of a Racer TV studio. I know from pedaling the track that where we see that Specialized tent down there, that is a chicane that is going to be about 45 seconds before we see them on camera here, and they should be coming to that virtually any minute. Oh, whoa, never mind, they already passed that spot. Here you go, Rodney.
And at the finish line and the checkers, Walker Fowler has done it under pressure. It is 8 wins consecutively here at the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC, and his first win of this 2022 season. That ties things up as far as the championship is concerned, and Walker Fowler feels he's back in the place he needs to be.
Rodney, I got to jump in right here. Walker looked me direct in the eyes. He said, Mikey, I don't lose here. I don't lose here.
And he don't. He proved that point. Even Bryson Neal smiling, giving him a fist bump there. And, you know, Bryson gave him a lot out there. But Walker, like he said, man, I don't lose here. And that's 8 wins. Remarkable, Johnny. That feat has never been done. The closest thing that we've seen to that is 5 race wins by one rider in New York. That, again, was Walker Fowler at the Tomahawk GNCC, so this record even surpassing that. The closest we have to that pass it, I think, is Scott Summers with 3, and that was at venues that they didn't go to anymore, but regardless, that's impressive. Look at that. Walker Fowler making the 8 there as he goes not only for the 8th win here, but his 8th. This would be his 8th championship too, I guess, if he's working on that one, right?
It would be. Obviously, we're a long ways away from that one, but today ties it up and puts him tied with Bryson Neal for the points lead.
That's a good omen for him anyway.
Absolutely, for sure. And it's one of those things I have sometimes a unique position where I can see these things from the other side, and I got to tell you, Rodney, while Mikey gets ready to do the interview here, I think there was a little bit of extra fire in Walker Fowler, prep for this race. I've obviously spent the last 2 weeks with him. He really, really wanted to win this race for a lot of reasons. But I won't mention any names, but someone made some statements after round 1 on social media. It was not that guy. It was not Bryson Neal. Someone else made some grandiose, maybe that's some aggressive statements on social media, and it fired a few of these top guys up. And they said, hey, we're going to make a statement. And the 2 guys I think that were the most fired up about those statements won 2 today.
Yeah, well, man, I can't help it. Sometimes I just But where's 3rd place? We're waiting on 3rd place. That
could be a battle. Feehan and Glada still, and Cole Richardson there as well.
I mean, it ain't over yet. Feehan and Junior Glada, that gap, whenever they checked through, Glada was 9 seconds behind. I think we had him at, like 5 or 4 seconds behind whenever we seen him at last, I think, near that 10-mile marker. So we wait here now. And we should be seeing any moment within the next minute or so our 3rd place rider checking in, Johnny Gallagher, and will it be Junior Glada? I mean,
I think Devin Feehan's going to hold on to it, but I think John Glada Jr. will be close there, and Cole Richardson as well. Could go any of those 3 ways, but I really think Devin haven't come through the pack. These guys are going to have to wrestle that final podium spot away from him, but hats off to all 3 of those guys. Looks like we got some fans in the distance. They're starting to look like they're getting a little excited. We might have some of the leaders coming our way, but, man, what a battle to the finish, Rodney. Awesome ride by Bryson Neal, absolutely. Closing the gap up even after. Can't wait to hear the story because he was there. Then it was 15 seconds, whether it was a crash, a connection with a lapper, whatever it may have been. Definitely looking forward to hearing all about that. And then, obviously, Walker Fowler doing what Walker Fowler does here in Palatka and grabbing another win.
He does not lose in Florida. I like that statement. That's a great quote. And I tell you, and you know, Walker's not, I mean, he's just excited. He's not being cocky. He's not being mean about it or anything. But
think of the adrenaline pumping through his veins.
He's won 8 races here.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's got the right to say that and flex on it if he says it, in my opinion. That's impressive.
I think the one thing that Walker's been pretty good about over the years is waiting until after at least that day's job is done before he starts, to have a little bit of swagger in his step or in his talk. And the one thing I could tell you is I would say probably by about noon tomorrow he's going to be refocused. And here comes our 3rd place rider is the number 7 of Devin Feehan. And man, what a come from behind ride! I don't know if you guys caught it on camera, but he was upside down in turn 2 and dead last in turn 2. He came through 9 riders in that XC1 class. I believe that may have been John Glada Jr. that just crossed the line behind him there. So there is your top 4
and
in.
Cole Richardson.
Oh, Cole Richardson as well. So the top 5 in here complete with 4 laps and a checkered flag waving. But hats off to all 3 of those guys. But Devin Feehan coming through the pack, passing all those riders, dusty, rough conditions. This young man, I think we're going to see him on the podium a lot this year, and I think we're going to see him get his first win in 2022.
Well, a race that took 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 35 seconds to get her done, and history is made as we head down to the winner's circle with Mikey Wayne standing by with Walker Fowler.
Hey, thanks, guys. Down here, Walker Fowler, man, you've had time to chill, hang out, sign some autographs, kiss some babies. Hey, this was a statement race. It was you versus Bryson. You came out on top. We head into Georgia in a week, and it's tied, man.
Tied race. It's gonna be a dogfight all year. It's gonna be 2 heavy hitters, just throwing punches, going rounds. Hopefully next weekend, not literally. I don't want to repeat history. That was not between the riders. If you know, you know. But yeah, it's going to be a good year. We're both riding phenomenal. I don't think there's 2 guys that can go faster. So it's funny how racing progresses, how the machines progress, how different our bikes are, and how different our riding styles are, and how close and serious the racing can be. And it's just impressive, honestly. I know how much I elevated my game, knowing that everyone was going to be strong this year, and obviously Bryson, I knew he was going to pretty much be him and Hunter. I'm still, we're still looking for him to kind of have his breakout, but I know what I got to do, and it's going to be tough every week. A big mistake by either guy, it could open the door for a bigger race, but or a bigger lead or a bigger win, but you know, it's going to come down to those last 2 corners every weekend, I think, and that's what racing needs. And man, we're racing is healthy and the racing is fun, and it's freaking badass, man. I'm having fun.
Hey, you said after the race, you looked me in the eyes, you said, Mikey, I don't lose here.
Don't lose here. 8 for 8. I would almost prefer we go to another property, just because I don't know if anyone's never lost at a property that's been, you know, on the series 4 or 5 years, let alone 8. So this is our 8th win. Every year that I've won here, I've won a championship. So I'm just going to one race at a time, one day at a time. Like I said, the speeds we're going, it's so scary. Like, anything can happen, and getting to the race healthy is a win in itself, and racing healthy and finishing, let alone winning or battling with you know, the best guys in the world. It's tough, and I love it. That whole last little bit, I knew as long as I didn't screw up that I had it, and I'm just like, man, like, I wish people knew. I wish people knew what went into every day. I know how hard I'm working. I know how he's working. We're you know, we're Olympic athletes is what we're doing. It's impressive. So I'm pumped right now. It's freaking. I want you to stand here until that mic gives out.
You're testing the arm, right? Hey, and I'm the Olympian, man. I got gold with the curling team, buddy. The mustache.
Congratulations in the curling. That was awesome. But no, just want to say a huge thanks to my mom and dad, my beautiful girlfriend, all my friends and family that you know, that keep this program rolling. It's obviously a family effort, a huge factory effort with Yamaha, GBC Fly Racing, all those guys, man. Just excited. Just got that win, number 69, so we finally got that monkey off our back. We're headed towards 70, and man, just like I said, all these awesome fans, all these awesome people that support me, thank you guys. Couldn't do it without you.
There you go. Your winner here of the Wild Boar GNCC, Walker Fowler.
Rodney, I think we might have to call it a draw between Mikey Waynes and Walker. Neither one of them, 2 heavyweight combatants, neither wanting to give up. Mikey barely able to hold the mic. Walker's vocal cords barely holding up, and they called it a draw.
That was, I know I've been in that situation before, holding that microphone. Barry Hawk was another one of those guys that could literally talk your arm off. Sometimes it seemed like, but Bryson Neal signing autographs right here at the finish line. That's so cool to see, and it's a Burr Oaks T-shirt too. So
I signed that shirt earlier today. That young man, I did.
He's getting them all on. It looks like. Then that's awesome. And he's down there now with Mikey Waynes and Bryson Neal, who is tied now for the championship.
Bryson Neal, hey, Bryson Neal signing autographs, kissing babies, shaking hands. Hey, second place today, but I got to think you're all smiles right now. You got to be feeling good. You guys are tied up as we head into round 3 in Georgia in a week.
Yeah, I'm pumped because you guys know the story. When we left here last year, same thing. Me and him was battling the last lap, and steering flag broke. I left here with my tail tucked between my legs and points behind. You know, today was the hottest day I've rode in or even walked around in all winter long. My training, I've been in Ohio all winter, so it was definitely hot on me today. And on the start, I got a pretty good jump, but Walker got on the inside, and I kind of got pushed wide, and I got sucked up in the pack. And man, it was so dusty that first lap that I couldn't see the ground. And I was just ping-balling off roots. I had a death grip on the bars. It was hard to see, and I used a lot of energy the first lap and a half trying to get to the front. On the last lap, you know, we were at the pit section. We was able to get close to Walker. We tucked in behind him. He was rolling good, getting into a good flow. And on the last lap, he was doing a really good job getting around lappers. And one lapper just couldn't get off the track all the way. Got a little sideways. Walker got out of sight, and I was like, oh man, I might not see him again. You know, we was about halfway through the lap, and we's hot, you know, and just trying to bring this thing home and try not to make no mistakes. And we got close to him there again at the end, and we was able to suck up to his rear bar, but make it interesting coming to the finish line. But we're just pumped, you know, for Ohio boy to be riding in 35 degrees, bundled up all winter long, and to come down here on this hot day and, you know, go toe-to-toe and really show some good fitness. We're pumped, you know, we're happy, we're beyond belief, and we're just going to keep this thing going forward, keep the wheels glued on, and see you guys at Georgia.
See you in Georgia. There you go, Rodney. That is the Bidwell Bullet getting it done for the 2 spot today.
Wow, what a day, no doubt. And
Remarkable positive energy coming from both our first and second place finishers today. 1 week from today, we will be at Aonia Pass, the General GNCC. Going to be taking place, and certainly excited about that, and certainly excited to see what this guy right here is able to pull off there, as well as he was able to pull off a third place position finish today as we head down with Mikey Waynes and now Devin Feehan.
Hey, Devin, man, a solid ride out there today. Big gap between second and third, but I got to think you're looking at this one like, heck yeah, I'm the real deal now. I'm a podium contender at this point.
I don't know about real deal, but yeah, that start was a little sketchy on my part. That was my bad. I didn't do it intentionally, but yeah, it's just everybody's aggressive fighting position. There wasn't many lines out there, and everybody knew that. So, I mean, yeah, GBC Tires, BNR Motorsports, whole shot system got me off to a great start, but I quickly threw that away. Had to come from a serious dig, and I pushed really hard. Everybody was riding good, and I knew it was going to be tough, but a lot of guys were making mistakes, and I just pounced on that, and man, I feel really good. It's always awesome to get a podium. Like I said, when I'm out there and I can get in that position, I fight for it and get everything I got because I know everybody's doing the same. So, super awesome day. Thank you, guys.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You got more training in down south this year, correct?
Yeah, I've come down a little bit in the past, just feeling it out, and could never really make it work. I've always put a lot of work in the gym and never did much riding coming up, so it's awesome to get that riding in. Tough to keep equipment together, but I just make it happen, and yeah, it's awesome to be here.
You made it happen, man. Congratulations to you. Devin Feehan capturing third place today. Guys, stick around. I got John Glotta back here. I want to get him after this, talk about that fourth place finish.
All right, he sounds good, Mikey. And if Walker Fowler is liking the omens and things of that nature, coincidences, how about this? His 8th win here at Palatka as he goes for his 8th championship. He wins by .888 over Bryson Neal. Let's head down and check in on what's going on with Junior Glotta.
Hey, John, man, talk to us. I know a 4th place finish, not something we typically interview after the post race, but that was close, and you seem to be making strides late last season and obviously early this season, man. You got to feel good. I know it's a 4th, but you got to feel good about today. What's it going to take for you to get up on the guys?
Just keep riding smart, stay focused all race. I make no mistakes. Been riding a lot this year, training. Just stay focused and good starts too. That would make it a lot easier. First lap was completely awful today. Couldn't see a thing. Just praying not to hit anything. And but just tried to keep a good pace I can maintain all day and wouldn't fall off. And just glad to be over with it.
There you go. Congratulations to you. Keep up the hard work. Your 4th place finisher, John Glotta.
Just glad to be over with it, he says. And you can hear it in his voice. You can see it in his face and in his demeanor. Definitely a very taxing race by John Jr. John Glotta Jr. there as he walks away with a 4th place position finish. And what a hard-fought battle to be able to capture that. Cole Richardson rounds out the top 5 with Hunter Hart, Adam McGill, Jared McClure, Chris Borch, and Josh Merritt in the top 10. Your XC2 winner will be Jay Shadron, and it looks like your top amateur today will be little brother to John Glotta Jr., James Glotta. And as we take a look at a Rocky Mountain ATVMC top 10 results board, there's what we're looking at as far as our top 10 overall in the overall here this afternoon. What an amazing battle. Certainly give us a show, there's no doubt about that, as 80% of the machines now in that XC1 class, the top 10 overall, are Yamaha. Revving our hearts here today in the GNCC Racing Nation. 80% Yamahas. Wow, that's pretty impressive to say the least. Folks, we'll be back with more action tomorrow when the two-wheelers hit to the track here at Palatka and the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. On behalf of Mikey Waynes and Johnny Gallagher, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.